Are you guys hyped up? We did it. Democracy, or something resembling it, has been heroically preserved thanks to the good people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Just barely. A 4-seat pickup, man. God damn. Here, let me see if I can find some Fox News whining about it. I'd love some coffee, love.
All right, now back to the Virginia redistricting measure, which could give Democrats an advantage heading into the midterms.
That shit. Get into the second channel.
President Barack Obama writing on X, quote, "Congratulations, Virginia. Republicans are trying to tilt the midterm elections in their favor, but they haven't done it yet. Thanks for showing us what it looks like to stand up for our democracy and fight back." Our next guest lives in Virginia. Defending Education founder Nikki Neely joins me now. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us on this. One of the notable things about this is that this was narrowly passed in Virginia.
This is an unbelievable level of cowardice on their part. They just lost 4 House seats, and all we're doing is a little fucking interview. Come on, we know Trump's mad over this. You don't have to pretend. It's like an unbelievable defeat. You're just gonna shelf it?
51.5 to 48.5, but it's going to have a major implication when it comes to the congressional map. I mean, it will change it drastically, could give Democrats 10 seats to Republicans 1. So as a Virginia resident yourself, what do you think about this?
I saw this while waiting to start stream. It was guy who votes against the Virginia redistricting plan because he thinks that 1 seat is still too many for Republicans to have. I hear you. I see you.
This is sickening. You know, Virginia used to have what was basically the most fair maps in the country. Our congressional delegation of 11 seats sent 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans. And so, as you said, now it's going to be 10-1. But this whole referendum was a gaslighting attempt. Much like we were told Abigail Spanberger was a moderate, we were told that this was a temporary measure. We were told that it is to restore fairness. And there is absolutely nothing fair about upstate Virginia basically dictating what is going on for the rest of the state and the rest of the country. Because, you know, it's the signs that we saw that had the most resonance down.
You're right. Defending Education founder. This woman, she's a resident of Virginia. The group that she leads, they're trying to censor school books. Opposes the factual teaching of racism in K-12 schools, teachers unions, school admissions processes that consider or acknowledge race, any discussion of gender identity or sexuality in schools. Why did they bring her on? Because she's Virginia-based? Like, this isn't even irrelevant to the redistricting. Just had to find some chud from Virginia, I guess.
State actually said, "Don't Fairfax my Virginia." And I think there's a real disgust with how Northern Virginia is stomping all over lower income Virginia and rural Virginians' rights.
Yeah, and the way that this ballot question was phrased is being called into question because it actually included that term that this measure would restore fairness to the election process. You have National Republican Congressional Committee Chairman Richard Hudson also releasing the following statement, Nikki, saying, quote, Virginia Democrats can't redraw reality. This
really don't feel any sympathy for them? The Republicans, you really shouldn't. They're getting what they wanted. Republicans want to end democracy, and this is what we're giving them. I'm saying I was under the impression, Republicans, that this was exactly what you wanted. My apologies. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought that you wanted an end to fair democracy. Okay, I guess you picky motherfuckers, you asked for it.
Close margin reinforces that Virginia is a purple state that shouldn't be represented by a severe partisan gerrymander. That's exactly why the courts, who have already ruled twice to block this egregious power grab, should uphold Virginia law.
Isn't Virginia the poorest U.S. state? No, not even close. Virginia's got a ton of money.
Under this map, Republicans will hold our majority based on our record, cleaning up Democrats.
Oh yeah, you're thinking of West Virginia. You're thinking of West Virginia. Yeah, that's it. I talk about West Virginia more than I do Virginia because West Virginia is like a cesspit. So I bring it up as like they're like a punching bag.
Yes, and you also have former Governor Glenn Youngkin urging the Virginia Supreme Court to rule against this. So is this fight over?
This fight is not over. All the action goes to the Virginia State Supreme Court.
Apparently, a lower court has ruled this unconstitutional. The judge entered an injunction blocking certification of the election, denied a motion to stay pending appeal. So the legal battle will go on now. We'll see how
So
it
this is
goes.
going to start, it's going to kick off again on Monday. And I think many of us are hoping that the courts will do the right thing in this, because this is deeply unjust. This process has been flawed from the start. I mean, the fact that they kept this special session open, just everything about this process has truly, I mean, the fact that they have used the term fairness is kind of sickening, because this is anything but fair and it is anything but democratic.
Yeah, and we want to switch gears here to something else, because the organization that you founded just did a study and found out something that all parents in Vermont should know about. Can you tell us about this?
Oh, now we're talking about the transgenders in school. Okay, separate subject, not really interesting. Trump's response is interesting. I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect it would be. A rigged election took place last night in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. All day long, Republicans were winning. The spirit was unbelievable until the very end, when, of course, there was a massive mail-in ballot drop. Yeah. Where have I heard that one before? And the Democrats eked out another crooked victory. 6-5 goes 10-1, and yet the presidential election in November was very close to a 50-50 split. In addition to everything else, the language in the referendum was purposefully unintelligible and deceptive. As everyone knows, I am an extraordinarily brilliant person, and even I had no idea what the hell they were talking about in the referendum, and neither do they. Let's see if the courts will fix this travesty of justice. President Donald J. Trump. I wasn't paying much attention. Was there actually a mail-in ballot drop, or is he making that up too? I mean, there was, in the sense that at a certain point they start to count the mail-in and the early votes, like in every election. It's the same thing every time, man. Every time the mail-in ballot drop they're referring to is just people counting those votes. I did see the WAPO post. It is worth noting, though, because I saw a lot of people are being very upsetty spaghetti over it. I did see this. These are op-eds, you know? The Washington Post isn't necessarily endorsing either of these views, though that they allow them to go to print is somewhat telling. The Texas gerrymander freakout, what's happening in the Lone Star State is not a threat to democracy. That was fucking 8 months ago or whatever. Versus, Virginia plunges America deeper into the gerrymandering abyss. The redistricting scheme was always a power grab by Democrats. Always? All the redistricting? What was it? Was it Democrats pulling Governor Greg Abbott's strings as well? All the way from the beginning? How deep down the rabbit hole are you willing to go? It was actually Democrats over there at the Alamo fighting for Texas independence so that one day they would be able to kick off a 2025 redistricting race the Democrats would eventually win. The deepest state. I remember that. You remember the Alamo? Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about it before as well. Spare me the complaints about Virginia's new districts. This is my district in Texas. Unlike Virginia, I wasn't able to vote in it. The blue area is a very diverse part of the Dallas suburbs that was carved out and thrown in with a bunch of rural red voters as far as 180 miles away. Look at that, man. That's fucking crazy. The little partitioning of Dallas, and then here's the chud zone that you're cracking the votes with. Democracy, yeah. Well, American democracy is kind of dead, guys. If you take a look not only at the interests and the positions of both parties, but also in the widespread advocacy for gerrymandering and an unwillingness on anyone's part really to make a positive case for democracy, it's pretty like the decline is not going to stop for a while, you know? I just support the undemocratic action as long as it keeps the worst people from being in power, basically. It's kind of like if a wrestling match devolved into a fist fight, but the other side was just throwing haymakers left and right. Like, I'm okay with my guy throwing a few punches as well. I know we're not getting back to the wrestling match anytime soon. The hope for this to go back to being an above-board wrestling match has long since faded from my mind. But if this is the road we're going down, my guy's not the one hitting the mat. You seen this lady? She's funny as fuck. Yes, Luis Lucas, the architect. Well, we'll see how it goes, Jin Suresh. We'll see how it goes. What's your opinion on this voting map? Virginia holding this country together as a last bastion? Map of states that have voted for a bestie of Jeffrey Epstein in a presidential election. The Commonwealth, holding it down. Thank you for proving that there's still something worth fighting for in this shit-ass country.
We have some breaking news tonight as CNN can now project that Virginia voters have approved a Democratic plan to dramatically redraw the state's congressional map. 92% of the results are in, with just over 51% voting yes on the ballot measure. Now, if this map is enacted, it means Democrats could win 10 out of the state's 11 congressional districts, which would boost the party at large in the fight for control of Congress. Harrington is here.
Keep in mind, we're still winning in the midterms. Like, even if this hadn't happened, we would still win in the midterms. It's just right now, the way things are going, I feel like we're hurtling towards like a fucking 40-seat lead in the House, which is very funny. Why bro looking devious? Yeah, he's doing the Tate, the international symbol of pedophilia. The Andrew Tate hand gesture. Is it 4 seats minimum or 4 total in Virginia? I think people expect this is a 4-seat pickup in Virginia. It seems likely that's what it's going to be. If this didn't pass, would we still win the midterms? Yes, easily. Yeah. No, the midterms are a foregone conclusion. My main concern in 2026, people say, the shit libs like to say, we don't believe in democracy, follow the party line. I believe in democracy. I'm the world's only remaining liberal. My main focus for 2026 is not Dems beating Republicans, because the Dems gonna beat the Republicans, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, I want them to by the widest margin possible, but my primary focus is, we get our boys in there. As many good Democrats, it's good to have Democrats, it's better to have good Democrats, so that's my main focus. The actual victor in the midterms is a foregone conclusion.
To join us. And Harry, obviously, there were a lot of questions of how this would go tonight. Tell us what we're seeing in these numbers so far.
Yeah, I would just say, look, the yes side won. Yes, they are probably going to end up lower than the percentage that Kamala Harris won.
So volunteer for PV? Yup. By the way, in the coming months, I think that I'm going to be doing some more candidate interviews, most of which I imagine will be facilitated by PV. And if I remember the scheduling correctly, we might actually have one this weekend, a cool one. A neat one. But this isn't being done for no reason. It's not being done because, it's not being done purely out of a desire for content, right? We want to get some of you motherfuckers to sign up in Canvas and Phone Bank, and we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about that. Why would I volunteer for PV if we're going to win? Excellent question, because it's not just about Democrats beating Republicans. It's about the good Democrats beating the bad Democrats, the deep state Democrats, and that's key. We do want that.
In terms of the margin, but you know what? A win.
That was bait. I know that, Vosh. I know, Puzzler 22. Everything you say is retarded. So my assumption is that most of it is bait.
Is a win, and this means a lot for Virginia. And I will just note, just look at this. They have basically going to gerrymander this state rotten. They are basically going to lock Republicans out of power in a state where Donald Trump got 46% of the vote back in 2024. House seats Republicans in Virginia are only going to really end up with 9%. That is quite the imbalance that's going on here, right? Of course, this is part of a larger national picture as well in terms of redistricting. And this, to me, is what is so interesting.
Aforementioned guy who voted against the Virginia referendum. You're telling me we're going to let Republicans have 9% of the seats from here? Absolutely not. Give me a redistricting map that looks like somebody did a glitch wave edit of Virginia, okay? I want 11 parallel lines, each of which are the width of one street, wrapping around the bottom of the state and portioning out. We need an exactly 51-49 split for every district, okay? And it's not anti-democratic because we are, in fact, a republic.
Right? Oh, we've had all this redistricting, right? It started in Texas. Then it was California. We've done Ohio. We've done North Carolina. We've done Utah. But heading into tonight, pre-Virginia results, the net gain from this mid-decade redistricting was really 0 seats, neither side gaining. But now is where we are right now with the Virginia measure passing. Democrats jump out ahead. They are the ones leading in mid-decade redistricting, leading right now by 4 seats on the strength of that yes vote, however thin that margin actually is.
So, Harry, obviously, Senator Warren was just talking about 6 months from now, the midterm elections. What could this mean for the fight for who controls Congress here?
Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about the House of Representatives, and you're down in Washington, D.C., so you know a heck of a lot more than I do, I would just say this. The power right now, it's so tight, right? Every vote is so tight in the U.S. House of Representatives. So you just take a look here, and this gives you the math of why this vote was so important. If you talk about the margin of the GOP majority in the House post the 2024 election, it was 2 seats, 2 seats. That's how many seats they could lose on a vote before losing the majority. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about Democrats gaining 1, 2, 3, 4 seats, 4 seats in Virginia. The simple math here is 4 is greater than 2. Without Democrats needing to pick up any more seats, this would eliminate the Republican majority and instill a Democratic majority because the margins are so tight. This vote in Virginia means so very much, and that's why all that money was spent on it. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, a ton of money. Harry, thank you for doing that math for us.
I know, it's very hard, very hard.
This is why we keep you around.
That's right.
Harry Ensign, thank you for that. For more on this, my political sources are here tonight. Jermichael, what's your assessment of what's happening?
I mean, look, I'm not happy about this. What we're seeing is a gradual destruction of
How do you feel about this? Well, I'm not going to lie. It's looking real bad for us
in our country. So what happens when you create an atmosphere and an environment where compromise no longer exists?
Imagine living in that version of America. Imagine living in that version of America. Yeah, you know, it would suck if that was where we were.
But yeah, maybe this is good for Democrats today, but is it good for the long run? Probably not. For 4 years, there was an argument from my friends on the other side about democracy.
Republicans, when Trump wins an election by 0.4 percentage points with a historically low turnout. Hitler! Republicans, when Democrats use a popular referendum to do the thing to Virginia that they did unilaterally to Texas. It's like no one even cares about playing fair anymore. It's like no one even believes in the spirit of the game.
Falling in darkness. Well, how in the hell is this preserving democracy? And look, I'm not saying that one side over the other doesn't gerrymander. Hell, they all gerrymander. It's just not a good thing at all. The American people don't benefit.
I just don't know why you would do that to us. Why would you do that to us? Why would
from this. And as someone who resides in Virginia, where you have, what, 40+% of the state that voted for the current president, rather, leaving only one Republican congressional seat seems to be in force of democracy and protecting the Constitution and the preservation of these great ideals? I would think not.
Well, I mean, what do you say to that? Because that was a question we asked a lot of Democrats once they launched their own redistricting efforts after we saw what happened in Texas. But a lot of them argued to us was, well, if the Republicans are doing it, we're also going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem here is that Republicans launched a mid-decade redistricting project in Texas. Virginia came up with its results, but Florida is likely to redistrict in the next couple of days. In fact, they held off for the vote, I think, for political reasons, but they are likely to redistrict. So at the end of the day, I think Democrats and Republicans will roughly match out to be equal. We don't know what Florida will do. I think maybe they'll be concerned that redistricting could end up, they could end up losing some of those seats because there could be such a great wave.
Florida's already risky. Why would they spread it thinner? Oh, man, nothing would make me happier than a Florida dummy-mander, dude. They've got so many people in such a precarious fucking, existing districting. I would love that. That would be so fucking funny, dude. Me down there in the fucking GOP Florida lever polling room. Surely the Latin vote will hold from 2024, right? Absolutely. 100%.
But I think the truth is that Democrats have supported a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering. Republicans have opposed that. This was a part of legislation they tried to pass in the last cycle. Republicans have opposed that. I believe that we should have a nationwide ban on partisan.
What were those noises supposed to be? Well, I was imagining that the way you did redistricting was you were seated at like a comedically old-fashioned computer where you had you pull levers and there's like steam billowing out of the hydraulics and there's like a big crank and then it pulls like a little ticker tape shoots out that gives you like the info on which streets and lines and to cut the district, You understand. You get it. Yeah. Yeah. The knobs and levers of democracy, or whatever remnants of it there may be in Florida at this point. Florida is not a very democratic state internally. You all know, we've talked about that. It's like Florida and Texas are like, genuinely, if you take a look at them as state governments and not as parts of a federal government, if you just look at their state governments, they are like not democracies. Like they're like Hungary. Genuinely, they're like really fucking captured. It's really, really bad. Like the federal government under Trump is much more democratic than the state government of Texas is, or Florida. Yeah, it's very bad. Try Missouri. Yeah, but at least it's Missouri. You know, nobody has mentioned this, but if Republicans don't like this, they literally have the power to ban partisan gerrymandering in Congress. Yes, it is worth remembering that, like, take a step outside the game. Democrats have supported a national ban on gerrymandering. Republicans don't. So if Republicans ever want to, like, get serious about, you know, fixing all this, and, you know, I didn't think it'd go this badly for me, guys. Let's ban gerrymandering. If they wanted to do that, they could. Democrats are willing to do that. The joke is over. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood today. Last night, democracy asterisk was preserved in Virginia. I did a workout yesterday. I hit it. It was a lot for a guy like me. 20 push-ups. That's the most I can do in a row right now. I'll get better. But then I did a full workout, you know, and I was able to hit new PRs on the dumbbell press and pull over. That was good. Last night I got there's a lot of millennial slop out there, but I got to watch some millennial gem. That's right. Some ATLA was playing on the TV. Happened to sit down, catch a little bit of that, watched, the eclipse not go the way people wanted it to. Very good. Very, very good. I can do more push-ups than Vosh, lol. Not even remotely surprising to me. Do keep in mind that up until recently, when I fixed my costochondritis, I could not do one push-up because the pain in my chest was too great. But then the great chest popping happened, and now I can do push-ups. So I'm catching up from what I couldn't even do one before. So technically, me being able to do 20 in a row right now is an infinity % increase from the original number. You know? But I will say though, they're 20 with proper form. Like, I know some of you guys out there, you're like, well, I can hit the 20, and then I see what counts as a push-up for you people. And no, the fuck you cannot. So I'm just saying that if you want to mentally compete with me, you have to make sure you're all the way. My tips touching the ground every time I'm going down, you know? Tuck in your damn elbows. What were we talking about? Redistricting. Yeah, we got the subject. We got it down pretty much.